My experience with these headhunters was in a village 2 years ago. They used to have a house in which they used to keep a lot of human skull, because they were headhunters in the past. It used to be a spot for them that if a boy wants to show his valor, that he is a hero in the village, people will count how many heads he has collected from other villages or other groups or from their enemies. In this village there were about 300 human heads were kept in one house in the village.
Arunachal Pradesh, a mountainous area in the extreme northeastern part of India, is bordered by the kingdom of Bhutan to the west, the Tibet Autonomous Region of China to the north, Burma, and the Indian states of Nagaland and Assam to the south and southeast. Formerly known as the Northeast Frontier Agency from the British colonial era, the area became the Indian Union Territory of Arunachal Pradesh in 1972, and in 1987 it became an Indian state. The region, however, has been the subject of an ongoing sovereignty dispute between India and China. Arunachal Pradesh, in Sanskrit, land of the rising sun, occupies almost 84,000 square kilometers and incorporates major ranges of the Himalaya foothills. 20 major scheduled tribes of about 1 million people inhabit the state. Some residents of Arunachal Pradesh practice Hinduism. Tibetan Buddhism can be found amongst groups near the Tibetan-Burma border. But most of the tribes practice local religions that involve interacting with a variety of natural spirits and deities.
Strictly speaking, there are no Arunachalists who are Hindus. The major defect in our system is anybody who is not a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Sikh, he is declared as a Hindu. These tribals are not Hindus, they are enemies.
They worship things of nature, some sort of spirit in everything, maybe the trees, stones, and sun, moon, all these things that is visible here.
The first Christian missionaries, Frenchmen Crick and Bury, came to these territories in 1854. They endeavored to reach Tibet, but never made it, killed by a tribesman at some stage of the journey. At that time, tribes inhabiting India's eastern states, known as the Seven Sisters, began to be ever more open to Christianity.
They take to Christianity almost like fish to water. The Hindus from the mainland India tried for a long time through various ways, through schools, dispensaries, to attract them to the Hindu faith. But somehow the mentality of the people here is not attuned to that.
When they heard the life of Jesus, his teaching, they said, this is ours, this is already ours. We believe in these things already beforehand. We did not hear the specific story, but even the stories of the Old Testament are so much like our own stories. And the very generous life of Jesus and his death inspired them so much that many would shed tears even hearing it for the first time.
Nevertheless, during the 140 years that followed the death of Fathers Crick and Bury, Arunachal Pradesh remained a territory artificially isolated from the rest of the country, more especially closed to Christian influence.
In the 1920s or a little later, much before independence of India, an Anglican missionary called Elvin Verrier, who came to India, later turned out to be an anthropologist. He propounded a theory that if the tribals of Arunachal, if they had an exposure to Christianity, they would accept Christianity. So in order to prevent that, he suggested systematic isolation, keeping away from any contact with Christianity.
A string of tribal states along the northeastern border had already become Christian. Like we have Mizoram, Nagaland, then Meghalaya, they all become Christian. And so the government was more or less trying to keep at least Arunachal free from Christianity.
In 1978, Arunachal Pradesh, under the rule of India's nationalist Hindu India's People Party, the BJP, introduced the Freedom of Religion Act, a piece of legislation essentially aimed at discouraging any Christian presence. The act stipulated that no person could change their religion without the district magistrate's permission.
The one who is instrumental in converting would be fined 1,000 rupees and 6 months of jail, and the one who gets converted also would be punished with 500 rupees and 6 months in jail. Then the inner line permit system, which was introduced by the British in 1800 and something, was also given a new twist. It became a tool in order to prevent the Christians from coming inside. And so anybody with a Christian name, if they applied for an inner line pass, it would not be given. So that's how the name came as a forbidden land.
35 years ago, no Christians were allowed to set foot in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. No priest could enter this land. Until the end of the 1980s of the last century, Father P.K. George was regarded as a persona non grata, and his photo was kept in every police station.
Wow, how so early? Poor man! Since two of you are standing at two places.
We tried in the 1960s and 70s to get in, there was no way. Then one of our missionaries started inviting people from Arunachal Pradesh to his mission station parish on the border of Arunachal Pradesh. And the people flocked to him. He taught them, he baptized them and sent them back. And he also placed many of the young school-going boys in our Catholic schools in different parts of the region. And these students were entrusted with the task during holidays to go back to the villages, preach to the people and bring them back again for baptism. And they did that.
The return of young lay evangelizers to their tribes often led to the conversion of entire villages. In spite of bans, they would also help priests, prepared to risk the journey to Arunachal Pradesh in order that they might attend to the sacramental needs of their flock. Anti-conversion laws and the inner line permit system not only closed Arunachal Pradesh to Christian missionaries, but also led to the persecution of those who chose to be baptized.
Next year, Nangbi school jaba lage na? Na jaba? Aduh, sama father ko boy isa pasok. Patay din, oh.